for the poor and missing middle. The Higher Education Minister, Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, says the key will be constant and frank communication with all education stakeholders. She addressed students about the program at the University of Fort Hare as applicants continue to flock to universities nationwide today.
2018 walk-in applications, a stressful time for both students and institutions of higher learning, as all look forward to government revealing its plans at implementation.
This announcement is forcing us to confront the question of growth within the post-school education and training set.
Mkhize's lashed out at the leaders who've advised students to stage walk-ins without having applied, saying it undermines institutional processes. Many students in the Eastern Cape braved inclement weather to try to register for the 2018 academic year. Most of the popular courses are full and some of the walk-in applicants do not meet the qualification criteria. Another day of long queues at the University of Johannesburg, despite the institution's plea for students to apply online. No signs of EFF leader Julius Malema following reports that he'd attempt a walk-in registration for his master's degree at Wits University. The University of the Western Cape is assisting walk-in students, but there were no visible queues at the University of Cape Town. The Cape Peninsula University of Technology, meanwhile, says it won't allow new walk-in applications. The University of Limpopo is battling to accommodate the high volumes, but it's taking it all in stride. Both the University of Pretoria and the Tshwane University of Technology are not allowing walk-ins. Security remains tight at all institutions. The registration of new students is expected to conclude by the end of this week. Lopang Alamu, SABC News.
Well, for more on the state of registrations at universities, we're now joined by Lwando Majiza, who's the General Secretary of the South African Student Congress, SASCO. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Peter. Thank you for having us.
All right, so that clip that we've just seen there talks very much about the topic of the day, which is kind of the walk-ins. What's SASCO's position on walk-in applications, even though the universities did warn students, don't come to the campus if you haven't applied online?
Well, when we assessed the issue of walk-ins, firstly, we understood that it's not something new. Students have been walking in for various reasons. Learners would walk in, particularly because many institutions are migrating towards the online application system. So majority of the students would not have applied by the time application cut-off dates happen, either because they are from remote areas, also because they could not afford application fees at the time, also because they find instances that some of them are told that they can't go to school and they receive good grades and the community says that, no, you know what, you did well, go to school. More so now with the recent pronouncement by the President on the phasing in of free education by 2018, it has attracted students to come in. Our stance, therefore, has been that institutions have got targets to meet. We must ensure that we know whether they've met those targets set by government and set by themselves. But secondly, we must extend the cut-off date for applications. There's always an extension of applications in January, and that would mean also extending the cut-off date for applications for NSFAS. So we are saying that walk-ins must be there. SASCO comrades are there in all campuses to assist students with programs that they qualify for and programs that they would not qualify for. But there's always been that exception.
What's been your experience this week? Are some late applicants being accepted, or are they being told, listen, you know, all we can do is advise you, go to a TVET college or apply later on in the year? Have there been some people accepted?
Well, firstly, we are worried with this approach and notion that wants to create the TVET colleges as dumping sites. We want actually our government, our society to understand these institutions as institutions of choice, where students actually must be attracted to go and apply there. We're a country that will be needing a serious skills revolution. We are confronted with the fourth industrial revolution, with some of the traditional professions being phased out. You need those skills. Our experience on the ground is that this matter of walk-ins has been dealt with at different levels by various institutions. You had the registrar of UJ today saying that actually there are some programs that are open. They have invited students to apply for those programs. You've got the University of Fort Hare, where the minister was, Walter Sisulu University Potsdam campus. There were programs that were made that we have been opened to students today. So we're saying a generalized approach to walk-ins is not going to assist that. Arrogance by vice chancellors,
isn't there a danger? Isn't there a danger that you apply, the university has a backlog, and then they say, look, there is a program, you can study theology, we've got space there. And what then starts to happen is that people go and study subjects that they didn't want to study because they're the only ones available.
That is what we exist for, to actually guide and assist students. That is why we're appealing to universities, and we're still appealing now. This tendency of wanting to stop activists from assisting them, universities must not view us as enemies. They must view us as partners in ensuring access and the maximization of the program of free education. With your question of whether students choose programs, that we don't think it's a crisis that starts at this level of work. It's a crisis that starts with the lack of career exhibitions conducted in our country, with the lack of actually mentoring students on what programs to take, programs which they have strength in. I've had a case to deal with when we were in the Eastern Cape just yesterday with our comrades, where students would have a 3 and a 4 in mathematics, but they still say, well, no, want to do engineering. We don't think that it is, if they had the requisite training and coaching, they would actually want to do those courses. So we're appealing to our students to not take courses just for the sake of availability of those courses, but they must take courses that are compatible with their results, courses that are compatible with their preference and the career path that they would want to elect. We know of gatekeeping in your professional degrees by most universities, and will be safeguarding that space. We are authoring a letter to all university registrars to give us their targets, what has been achieved, the racial profile of those students, the school profile, quintile 4s to quintile 3s. That is when we'll be able to accurately assess whether we're making progress or not, or whether the tendencies that we're fighting against are persisting and our students being pushed into a career path that they do not prefer.
All right. So you've been engaging with the authorities, the Department of Higher Education, as well as other spheres of government, perhaps NSFAS as well. Are you able to give a clear message to the students that are applying what this new dispensation is going to look like and how it's going to roll out?
We've engaged government, we've engaged some progressive VCs during our stay in the Eastern Cape. We've engaged some progressive council chairpersons, Dr. Bandile Masuku of TUT. What we could not find each other with the department, the House of Truth is next week when registration actually starts. Government met with us, recommitted that the plans are in place to ensure that first-time entry, all of them, there will be no upfront registration fees. The students will be allowed and be granted their grants. With the returning students, they are saying that the threshold that will be used in order to convert to a grant is the 122,000, which is a threshold that has been rejected by the presidential announcement and even ourselves. So there we've got a deadlock, and we said we don't agree. Let's apply the threshold of 350 to those. At Falls Bay College in Cape Town, the college management is demanding an upfront 1,000 rand payment for acceptance of space. It was done even at UKZ, and we've instructed the institution to repay that money back to students, because we don't expect any upfront payments. So where we're at loggerheads now is upfront payments that are being levied by some institutions. Even UJ is saying that for returning students, they will take an upfront registration fee if you are still on the waiting list for NSFAS and they refund you. We are saying our students don't have money. The agreement is that if you are eligible for NSFAS, for the grant, you should not pay at all to access university. And that is the stance we stand by. Coastal College in KZN, the rector there, quite a reactionary fellow, is saying he won't implement free education until the NSFAS allocation has been received. Right. We are going to toy in that particular college before the end of this week or by early next week. So those are some of the challenges. But we've said, if there are isolated incidences, let's deal with the incident institution by institution. There are seriously progressive people who are hopeful at TUT with the council chairperson there having been proactive in some of the policies. So let's deal with isolated incidents. For example, the Coastal College issue, we dealt with it with the department and NSFAS yesterday. It was resolved that upfront payment, students will no longer pay that. At UKZN, we dealt with it, students must be refunded their money. So let's not use the approach of those that lack experience in the sector, that want to collapse the sector. There are newcomers in the sector, organizing in the sector, and it is quite clear that their intention to an extent might be far-reaching than ours. It seems like some people want to see the collapse.
All right, it does seem that what is required is clarity from all sides as quickly as possible so that everybody knows exactly what to do, how, when and where. Thank you very, very much indeed, Lwando Majiza, the Secretary General of the South African Student Congress at SASCO. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us this evening.
Thank you for having us, Peter. Thank you.
Right. Okay, so is that it? This is where we say goodbye. That's prime news for this evening. And in fact, you know what? I'm gonna ask this camera to follow me because I'm gonna say goodbye with Francis. Come on, camera full. Let's go. Is this where we say goodnight?
There's a technical director here. Not wonderful. But it has been an evening of breaking news. President Jacob Zuma appointing that Commission of State Inquiry finally.
Yeah, and that's it from us. Prime Sports starts in the next couple of minutes.
Good night.